So hi, how does data and analytics relate to game UX? Let's find out. So imagine that you created a game. You used probably months, if not years, making it perfect, doing a lot of user studies, and now it's on Steam or App Store. Now imagine that a user downloads your game, they play for 5 minutes, and then they stop. They never come back. There's no review, no feedback whatsoever. What happened? You don't know. Is this one-time occurrence? Does this happen a lot in our game? Do we have a lot of people dropping off in the first minutes of our game? How are we going to find out? Well, that's where we use data. So what is quantitative data? It's anything you can measure, numbers. For in games context, it would be like activity logs, user information, anything we can get from the platform. For example, login times, what time of day did they log in? Do people log in only during lunchtime, only on weekends? Of course, also user information like where are the users from? We might be able to get their age groups. All that kind is quantitative data. And it's objective as in it's something we can observe. It's not opinions. And it's structured, which enables us to analyze it. And with quantitative data, we can answer questions like who are our users and what do they actually do in our game? So designing games is usually a very creative process. We are very passionate about it. We base a lot of decisions on vision, like our artistic vision experience, convention, what's been done before, how their competitors are doing it. And this is all very valuable, but trusting on this information and user feedback might be a bit misleading or at least not complete because users are actually quite bad at reporting their own behavior. If you ask people, they might say that, yes, I enjoy challenges, but then if you check the data, it might turn out that as soon as the game gets hard, half the people drop. Or you ask, what do they like in the game? They say, I like feature A. Then when we actually check the numbers, we see, well, people don't actually really spend time doing action A. So it's not always clear that people report what they actually do. And of course, we might have hundreds of thousands or millions of players, and we cannot ask everybody what they like. So that's why we can check the numbers. And when we are measuring the numbers, KPIs, key performance indicators, which are like stuff like daily logins, session length, what else? Retention rate. So how like do they log in every day or do they drop out? They stop playing, which means that they churned. All these kind of measures are indicators of their actual behavior in the game. And these are real signals of their user experience. So in the beginning, we had the question of, do we have a lot of people quitting the game during the first minutes? Well, if we have our retention rates, our churn rates, we can already check from there, okay, our churn rate looks good. It doesn't seem to be a big problem for us that there are a lot of people quitting. There might still be some places where we could improve. We could check, for example, if there are some spots in the game, some levels that are harder than others, where a lot of people are quitting because it got too hard. For example, that stuff we can easily analyze when we have the data. And of course, before we start the analysis, we always need to have the question, what are we going to analyze? What do we need to know? Because in gaming, we can measure everything. We can store all the data, but it's not useful if we are not using it for solving problems. So first, if our question is, do we have main drop-off points in our game and where are they? That's easy. We can just check, for example, for each level, if there's a higher drop-off percentage compared to the other levels. And then when we have that result, then it's easy for us to start thinking how to fix this. But without having the data, we might not even know that we have some kind of a bottleneck or a weak point in our game that's making a lot of people drop off from our game. So actually having more data, the more data we have, the more we can understand how our game is as an experience for the vast majority of the users and also for the different kinds of users, because we can do cohort studies, which means we can see how is the game for player who is on level 2 versus for the players who are above level 100. Their experience and their playing behavior is probably totally different. But when we have the data side by side, we can easily see what is the difference and how we could improve their user experience with our game. So the more data we have, the better we can make decisions about our game design, cater to different kinds of players. We can easily identify possible issues with the game and fix them. And all this translates to better user experience. Thank you.